Hi all, I have another amazing and aesthetically pleasing game from Leela Chess to show you. So against the Texel chess engine, Leela playing black in the Chess.com Computer Championship. Rapid rumble, 15 minutes with a 5-second increment. E4 from Texel, the Sicilian defense, and after knight c3 we have a6 waiting to pounce to go into the Najdorf by transposition. And here this is a very well known position. Very theoretically trodden. Bishop c4, both sides castle, knight c6, rook e1 was played. Also an alternative, well known as queen e2 here. For example, this is thought to be a slight edge for white. So anyway, rook e1, we have b5, the bishop drops back, rook b8. Now bishop g5, and Leela is keen to preserve the knight actually with knight d7. So this is already an interesting move. If h6, it seems, white's going to just take off that knight and have a better grip in general over this d5 square. And bishop e6 actually runs into trouble with knight takes f6 in this particular position, because queen takes, then there's queen takes d6 with hardly any compensation for the lost pawn. And, for example, g takes just doesn't bear thinking about. This is just horrendous for black. So, but Leela's move, is plausible. Knight d7, just wanting a more standard exchange of dark square bishops. And white obliges. Queen takes. On knight takes here, again, d6 is an issue. Bang, queen takes d6. So, not too many options. Queen d2. You might think the tempo gain is attractive, but after queen d8, this position, in fact, this knight's not that bad on d7. It can bounce to c5, and now b4. For example, this position, in fact, black is doing perfectly fine. Might even have a small edge there in these variations. And on b takes, for example, bishop d7, it's even. So even though white really seems to have a massive grip on d5, there's other things going on this chessboard, so it's not all about the d5 square. So anyway, queen d2 was played, not going in for knight d5, even though it might be tempting. Knight c5, and in fact bishop d5 is played. Again, knight d5 here, in this particular position, the queen can actually go to the fianchetto position, and there's some fascinating ideas actually about contesting d5 here. I'll give you an example. c3, knight a5. If the bishop drops back away from this diagonal, the f pawn is free to move then. And there's also knight c4. There's no immediate fall because of knight c4. And actually, in fact, knight c4 can be used straight away. And f5, you can see that actually this can all backfire. This whole entrenched, seemingly it was comfortably entrenched, but now it's just getting undermined, this central knight. And it can lead to a total disaster position for white. Black's just getting a big advantage. So this is really, really interesting, knight d5 here, how it can rebound. If you look at the last move, so the queen, which was on e7 here, all of a sudden, this queen b7 and these mechanisms challenge d5. It's fascinating. Let's just have a quick look at this position again. So knight a5, and you might think, well, instead of bishop c2, try queen d1. Again, look at the d5 battle scenario. So knight c4 and then f5. As soon as this bishop's chased away, this f5 is really handy. If knight g5 to try and punish black, then putting a pawn on d5, this is great. The knight's controlling e6, and this can just end up being really quite nice for black. It seems once that d5 battle is won, black can even go on the attack, of course, with a small edge at least. So there's a really interesting scenario. So bishop d5, not trying to keep a real lock and key on the entire position via that d5 square. We have rook b6 protecting the knight. And now h3, you might think, okay, h3, well, it seems to be designed for bishop g4. So, for example, rook ad1, I'm not sure b4 is that great until we look at bishop g4, and then all of a sudden this is a big threat for knight d4. The knight's got nowhere to go backwards, and here this is just the scenario where it's useful to take on f3, and an entrenched knight on d4 gives at least an equal position for black in these situations. So it seems, yeah, h3 to stop bishop g4. Bishop takes knight, you might think, doesn't really do white too many favors. Again, if there's going to be bishop g4, it's going to be even at least. So yeah, h3, we have queen c7. Now, you might think, hang on, was b4 plausible here? It doesn't actually do too much after knight d1. This is a bit vulnerable, in fact, potentially. Yeah, it's not really that great to play that. So queen c7. And it's here, though, that maybe white is concerned in some scenarios about b4 and plays a3. So these moves on both sides of the board, sort of ears, are out. Sometimes they're called ears, are out on both sides of the board, listening for what Leela will do next with both ears. Okay, I'm not funny. Okay, knight e7, but this starts to get a little bit crazy, I have to say. The classic Sicilian c-file doesn't seem to be given too much respect with this next move, b4. I remember Nigel Short playing b4 against Kasparov once in a Sicilian, and it didn't end very well. It does weaken that c-file here, which creates liabilities like awkwardness potentially on the c-file for pieces being looser than they should be, especially if they're on c3 here. So anyway, the game continued. Bishop b3, knight f6, a4. So there's a justification, I guess. Some of the variations must have involved, because b5 is fixed, that it was deemed as some sort of good idea to fix b5. But yeah, there's a clear downside of the c-file. And Leela actually plays bishop e6 here now. And white obliges black by playing bishop takes e6. To me, this is also a little bit losing the battle about using the d5 square, which is not in the spirit of things necessarily. After f takes, it's nice to have an extra center pawn, and the double pawns here are really, they're quite good actually, not just controlling d5, but maybe d5 be played by black later, and let alone the f file and things like knight g6 to f4. This already seems great, but if we look at this position with a takes, this scenario with knight g6, already again, it's just really nice. Black uses that c-file, which white's kind of, in a way, disrespected, and the pieces become awkward, and there's this nifty maneuver here, which comes up in the actual game continuation. Black just gets a totally beautiful position here, yeah, with pressure on the center, the c-file, and other breaks even possible. So let's go back anyway. Bishop takes e6, f takes, and we have ab, rook a3, and now queen c4. Now there is always the possibility of this queen getting kicked back, especially after this move. It vacates d2, hitting the rook, but knight d2 has to be borne in mind here, not to catch the black queen in some sort of horrible trap. But at the moment the rook's attacked, and also the pawn is attacked. Now the rook is protected. If rook c6, then rook b1 sets the trap for the queen. Look, knight d2 is on the cards. And if queen d4, this position is favourable, losing b5, d4 is lost, and then e6, white gets a small edge. So Leela has to be careful. She reinforces this pawn and makes sure the queen can go in reverse still at the moment. Now knight g6, rook d1. Now rook a6, using this rook, getting out the firing line. Yeah, better than using that rook, otherwise queen takes. So infiltration possibilities. Knight f4 here. Let's have a quick look at knight f4. Does it do anything? It's actually not too bad. This scenario, there's a threat of knight g4 check. So the queen gets out of the way. This scenario, black's doing fine. And if g3, then queen h5 is strong for black, knight g4 check, or knight h4, knight g6 is strong for black. So there are very interesting scenarios as well with knight f4 immediately. But rook a6, g3, stopping knight f4. Is that depressing now for Leela? The thing is, pawns don't go backwards. So yes, the knight has been restricted, but it still has a career path. It might have to go backwards to go forwards. But sometimes we have to do that. We have to keep the goal in mind and do sometimes things which are paradoxical in order to achieve that goal. And here the knight, paradoxically, steps back to the corner, the very corner, remotest activity it's got, to be able to pounce back in the game with a fantastic difference to the position. Not only in the short term supporting d6, but also now the g-pawn and the h-pawn are brought to life with great interest now that knight isn't sitting on top of the g-pawn. The g-pawn is saying, thanks, knight. Okay, so queen d3, and we have actually h6, and the h-pawn's getting excited now as well to support things like g5. These pawns are up to no good now. White actually plays h4 to stop g5, to stop this mischievousness. If queen takes c4, this position is showing actually some problems for white. With that pawn on c4 and d5, this can become quite favourable after d4, for example. Rook b8, and black's getting a massive advantage. Look at these pawns all being straightened out in the centre, and b4 a liability as well. Even if black does close the c file, there's loads of pressure here. So h4 is played, but g5 anyway. Now queen d1 is played here. Black does seem to have a dominating position. On hg, this is an example which is really nice. g4 taking on d3, d5 even position. So we have queen d1, king g7, h takes g. So hg. If queen d2 here, g4, knight h2, d5. This d5, sometimes it really works well. There's a threat here of queen takes b3. So say that rook b2. This is the way to go, it seems, for an edge for black. Picking up b4. Here's just a fictional scenario. Yeah, black seems to get the edge. You know, black's got the passed pawn here. It's very dangerous indeed, that pawn, and gives black an advantage. So yeah, there are some really nice scenarios here with just ignoring this g5 pawn, but it was taken. Now hg, king g2, and yeah, black is well prepared for this h file more than white, and you can blame the artificial moves. Leela is the punisher of artificial moves for this extra rook coordination that black has handed on a plate, using the h file a lot more effectively than the white rooks can possibly defend it. And also this rook is nannying, of course, the c3 knight from the earlier damage to white's position in a theoretical sense, or in a practical sense. That's c file weakened. But we have rook h8, and white is not in a position to easily do something about this rook. It can always be reinforced, if nothing else, or even just taking it and then the rook comes to the h file. So white didn't bother for a moment with rook h1. We have knight d2, which gives rise to queen c8. And now this is a pawn sack, by the way, of b5, and white dares to actually take that here, kind of oblivious to black's naughty business, which has been brewing now. And g4, although it's not a form pawn, it could be the prelude to a form pawn sometimes. If if something lands on f3, and then it becomes a form pawn. But it's marking out key light squares here. And just to show the difficulties of white contesting the h file, White played knight f1, but let's see rook h1. Black can actually take care, and if queen takes c2 becomes an issue, whilst the h file is nice, but also the second rank, the 7th rank from black's perspective, is a killer here. Yeah, this is absolutely killer. Look at the loose rook and knight, basically. So if king takes instead, well, then the h file is really dangerous. So yeah, it's not too hot, this position. So knight f1, queen b7 hits not only the knight but also e4, and actually black, because the knight on f7 and these pawns here, is in a position to really torture e4 here, especially the g4 is always ready to capture if there's any f3 now as well. So we have massive pressure being built on the center with tempo now. Queen e2 is played. If knight c3, knight g5, both knights looking at e4, and yeah, knight d2, for example, the rooks can use the h file in this situation to try and checkmate the king. For example, like this is a nice checkmate. You can see the huge dynamic potential as well as the pressure on the center. Leela's often doing that. When she's attacking, she's always also looking at the center as well, it seems. Well, frequently looking at the center. And it's the case here. It's not just an h file attack, it's combined with this central pressure. And rather dramatically here, actually, after knight g5, so we've got a duality of not just h file but diagonal as well across the center to the king as well. Knight d2, we have d5 putting even more pressure, ramping it up to unbearable thresholds where the white pieces simply cannot cope here anymore. Rook e3 was played. You might wonder about taking. This can lead to actually being checkmated. For example, check here, king g1, and yeah, rook h1 or queen h1 is checkmate. So yeah, it's the pressure is ramping up, and the artificialness of the previous moves means that white's not really coordinated enough in a natural sense to be able to handle this. And actually here, yeah, d takes e4 is played, and there's a gigantic fawn knight threat of knight f3 and rook h2, which is pretty lethal actually if this fawn knight is left. In fact, white just gives up material now and reaches a totally lost position in desperation of the fawn knight threat. Yeah, it's just gigantic pressure here. If knight c3, this didn't happen, but knight f3, fawn knight. What's the power of the fawn knight? Check, and we have check, and we have rook takes e1 in this configuration. It's devastating. Just winning the queen, it's over really. So knight takes e4 was played, which just loses material. Knight takes e4, and there's an overloaded queen here, supporting rook and knight. Knight takes, queen takes, and yes, queen takes b5 is safe enough. There's no perpetual check here. There's one check for sure, and in fact Texel doesn't play another check but plays rook e3. Now rook h7 is played. Yeah, there isn't adequate compensation for being a rook down. In fact, this does allow Leela to simplify with queen c6 solving all the problems. Yeah, it's just a rook up now. The game's over. It's really, the game is over basically. The game's up. Rook up, thanks very much, and the rest is fairly easy. A rook up, as you'd expect. No problem. Carries on for a bit. Okay, Leela moving the king maybe a bit much. Then goes in for the okay, checkmate after taking the rook. Okay, what do we get from this game? Well, traditionally, the d5 square is white's central focus to lock down black pieces. It seems the whole d5 blockade was dramatically blown away by Leela. smashing through the entire diagonal with options on the H file. So this is the way to play, not to combine attack with central pressure as well, which is also yet another route, in fact, to the king. So these two routes to the king, the H file and the diagonal, perfectly exploited, it seems, by Leela. So a super instructive Sicilian defense game. And I wonder if all these Najdorf wins are going to inspire an increase in popularity of the Sicilian Najdorf. So put away your Berlin defences, guys. I'm talking to you super GMs, especially in the World Championship. Magnus and Caruana, please play some Sicilian Najdorfs. Have a look at these games. Okay. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.